Hi everyone, welcome to my coverage of Levon Aronian's victory at Tata Steel 2014. So this is his round 6 game against the best Filipino player in the world, Wesley So. In this position, White played the very logical move, bishop takes c5. And now, if we take a look at it, White has 2 bishops against bishop and knight. Small advantage, however, White's pawn structure could be considered a little bit compromised here. So it's hard to say. It's not easy to evaluate super quickly who's better. Black played the move bishop to b4 here. Now my question to you guys is to pause your video, try to figure out what you would do here. So this is a key moment in the game. The point is, it's typical to just maybe, do we trade? Or do we do something like rook to c1, so that if black takes, we take, and we have the rook gaining a tempo on the knight. However, none of these moves are correct. I gave a little hint when I said the white has the 2 bishops against bishop and a knight. The 2 bishops are very important. The 2 bishops work much better in unison when they're combined, as opposed to just 1 bishop against the knight. Therefore, the move bishop to e3 is clearly the best move. These kind of non-trading moves are the specialty of top grandmasters. It's very tempting to always just find a good way to trade pieces, but sometimes it's important not to trade pieces. And bishop e3, maintaining the 2 bishops, is a very strong choice by Aronian. Black played bishop to d6, White went rook on b to c1, and now White's 2 bishops are very strong in an open position. White does have the advantage here. Notice we're attacking the knight. If the knight moves, we can take on a7. However, black goes knight b4, attacking our bishop. So we can't do it that easily. White went bishop to c4. Black goes rook on f to c8. And now is another very key moment. Pause your video again and try to figure out what you would do here. All right, so again, it looks very tempting to simply take on a7. And taking on a7, it is a reasonable move. However, after bishop rook to a6, we may want to go bishop to d4, so that after knight a2, bishop a2, rook takes, rook a2, rook c8 is checkmate. And so the idea is that we don't let black take on a2. However, black has this move bishop to f4. And after rook c3, which is the only way to defend our bishop, black can do something like e5. The bishop moves, and now we can take. And honestly, we can even take here with the rook. And the bishop is pinned. So another good thing about strong grandmasters, they're very patient. They don't rush to take material if it's not good for them. Instead, he slowly built up his advantage with f4, not worrying about the a-pawn just yet. Black played king to f8. He played a3, kicking the knight away. Knight to c6, and now bishop to a6. A very interesting move. The idea is that if the rook moves, we can take his knight on c6. But rook c7 is playable, and bishop a3 is playable, and what was played in the game. And the idea is if rook to a2 or something, so rook to a1, bishop b2, and black is now up a pawn. In fact, white just went rook to c4. Didn't even worry about attacking the bishop. Black is still up a pawn. But the idea is after rook c7, this knight is totally pinned. The rook is clunky. Someday bishop f4 could happen. Someday the rook might get here and we just might win the knight. So Wesley So played a very logical move. It turns out to be a bad move. A better defensive try was rook to c7. But this move, rook to d8, looks very logical. The idea is if rook takes knight, rook takes rook. And if rook takes d8 for white, then black can take with the knight and kind of try to dissolve the tension and just trade a lot of pieces off. White, however, played rook to a1. Very nice move. Bishop to b2. And now, your last quiz of the game, where should we move our rook after bishop to b2? So the key here is we have to see what is black's idea. We are attacking his knight on c4, c6, sorry. So a typical move would be rook a2 or rook b1, also attacking the bishop on b2. The problem with that, though, is knight to b4. And after rook takes bishop, knight takes bishop, sure, we can probably go rook a2, the knight will move, we could take on a7, maybe we have some small edge here. However, after we start to analyze all of these variations, we start to see that in every line, the black knight is going to b4. It's in fact the only move. The knight has nowhere else to go. If rook b1, knight b4. If rook a2, knight b4. You start to see this and you start to say, hey, is there any way I can just stop knight to b4? And so Aronian played the very strong move, rook on 1 to a4. And it's a harder move to find than it looks. Rook a2 and rook b1 are much more natural looking to the human mind. And now black's only way to defend the knight is rook to d6. But after e5, forcing rook to e6, and this is not where the rook wants to be, white went rook to c2. And by the way, bishop c4, trapping the rook, is now a threat. Knight to d8 was played. He simply took the other pawn. Now it's material equality, still with this bishop in this horrible square. Rook to a8, and now bishop to b5. And notice also, strangely, this bishop on b2 has no places to go now as well. So black is just lost. He ended up taking on e5. But after bishop to e3, So resigned. I mean, the position, 2 bishops against the knight with down 2 pawns, it's an easy win. White's going to win this game eventually, and So didn't test Aronian's technique. But overall, there's just another great example of Aronian's play. He got a small advantage right out of the opening due to some kind of preparation, it looked like, and then he nursed his advantage very well. Number 1 key point was he didn't give up the 2 bishops. He played this move, bishop e3, retaining the bishops. Number 2 key point was he didn't rush things by rushing after this a-pawn, giving black a lot of counterplay. Instead, he kept the pressure on, didn't give black any open lines. And number 3, he saw black's key idea here is to go knight to b4. And once he saw that, he stopped it, and black was pretty much toast. So a beautiful game from Aronian, just crystal clear technique from beginning to end. And I just thought another fine example of why he won this tournament in such convincing fashion. Thanks, guys, for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.